Welcome to the Heineken ESPN FC Boot Room. I am your host, Herculez Gomez, and I am joined by the head coach of the U.S. Men's National Team, Gregg Berhalter. Greg, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
As host of the Gold Cup, what determines a successful tournament for you?
Our objective has to be to try to win the tournament. So, you don't know exactly how the games are going to play out, but our objective when we bring the group together in May, it's going to be we want to compete for a championship.
Do you have already a starting 11 in your mind right now for Gold Cup?
So a lot of that is us taking a look at where the group is at, where the individuals are at, what type of form they have with their clubs. We're getting a better sense. We're evaluating our players every single week. We're watching all the games that they're playing in. We're having conference calls every Monday morning to talk about their individual performances. And for us, it's about, working with a group of 23 players that everyone can contribute to help the team be successful.
You spoke about 23 players, but if you had to give a number today or an estimate, how deep is your pool?
I think at times we'd like to think that it's this huge pool of players that we're drawing from, but I mean, the numbers are limited based on age, right? So if you take anywhere from a reasonable national team age of 18 and you go up to 32 or 33 or 34, it's a defined universe of players. If you go with how many players we're actually counting on and evaluating, I think that starts to shrink even more. So my guess is right now we're right around 35 players.
Describe your vision for Christian Pulisic, for Weston McKennie, and for Tyler Adams within the U.S. Men's National Team under Gregg Berhalter.
What we found from Tyler is just this incredible amount of energy that's really exciting to coach. And with Weston, you have this guy that he has a combination of finishing skill, nice and tidy around the attacking third, but also able to win balls. His aerial duels are incredible for a player of his stature. And then with Christian, I think you have a guy that if we deploy in the right way can first of all become unpredictable, but also can unlock the defense. And it's up to us as a coaching staff to find that way. We started him as a number 10. I think we need to get him even more involved, but also in the same sense, sometimes isolating him and letting him go wide and letting him go 1v1. So for us, it's still working through that and figuring it out.
Now, you're the type of coach that always wants to play your way. Now, in CONCACAF, that's not always the winning way. Will this change?
That's a good question. I've been thinking about that, and I've been spending a lot of time talking to former national team coaches and trying to get an understanding of what exactly it means to go away and play on a field that makes it almost impossible to play the type of soccer we want to play. And that's something we're going to work through. I played myself in CONCACAF games. I know what those conditions are like. And I think in those conditions, the most important thing is trying to get a result.
Let's change gears a little bit and talk about the Nations League. Does this tournament benefit the U.S. Men's National Team?
I think it benefits everybody. I think the smaller countries are going to get great exposure to competitive games, but for us also, it's a platform to compete. Because each and every time you put on the jersey, you have an opportunity to compete. And now with this format, it makes it a competition. And as players, that's what we like. We like to compete.
You like to compete, Greg, and you've competed at the highest levels, but don't you get better from competing at the highest levels? Doesn't this take away from maybe other games you could be playing?
Well, that's a good point. And what I'd say to that is, there's the potential that if you're playing a higher level of competition and it's a friendly game versus playing a CONCACAF opponent in a competition, you have to balance that. So I think there's times where we certainly want to play against the best in the world, but I think this format of the Nation League, it sets us up for experiences that we're going to face during qualifying.
What's better for the growth of your team, competing in Copa America or winning the Gold Cup?
Man, you have some good questions.
I should save them, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it's a debate, right? It's a debate. I mean, Copa America is an amazing tournament. When you talk about some of the best tournaments in the world in soccer, you have the European champions, you have the European Championship, you have Champions League, you have the World Cup, and you'd have to name Copa America up there in one of them. So in the same sense, we have to be supportive of what we're trying to do here with CONCACAF and how we're trying to grow the game in our region, and that's extremely important as well. And what I will say is that the games in the Gold Cup are going to be difficult games.
Right now, is Mexico king of CONCACAF for you?
I think Mexico, the Mexican Federation, the Mexican League is doing a great job. I think they're developing a lot of young players. I think they've been able to hold on to some players. They have an exciting league with some top teams in the league. And for us, it's in a way, it is a benchmark for the league, for MLS, but also for our national team of, can we compete with these guys? Can we beat these guys? We know they're our rivals, you know, I'm excited to compete against them because it's a good measuring stick for us of where we are.
When I played, at worst it was 50-50 between the U.S. and Mexico in those games. The league wasn't back then where it is now. What's changed?
You know, I know we lost to them at home for the first time in a while, but we also tied them away from home, and we haven't done that in a while. So I'm not sure this is massive imbalance of power. You know, when you think about how teams develop and how generations develop, you know, Mexico needed a goal from us to go to the World Cup in 2014.
They went with 11 points. The U.S. men's national team stayed at home with 12.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, and if they didn't go, it would have been a crisis on their end. And you know, so it's all cycles. Even when you look at European teams, you know, now Holland has a resurgence with Frankie de Jong and Matthijs de Ligt. So, you know, they're growing as well. And they didn't go to the last World Cup. So I think it's all a cycle. And you know, all we can do is keep trying to progress as a country and as a league.
Tata Martino with this group, you know, how far can he take them in an international tournament?
First of all, I have a lot of respect for Tata. I think he's a great coach, and you know, I competed alongside of him in Major League Soccer. We played against Atlanta a lot, and I really liked how he was flexible with his group. So they had a very similar style of play every single game, but their formation would change. Whether they played 3 in the back, 4 in the back, 3 strikers, 2 strikers. That's what I really liked about what he did, and I think he's going to do something very similar to with the Mexican team, is play a very dynamic game, play a game that relies on high speed, high rhythm, and it balances opponents, and I think that's a good quality that he imparts in his teams.